All right, my laptop died. So, um, yeah, the whole children are to be seen and not heard is probably the worst things. It comes from, I mean, people have been saying that for centuries, and little stupid shit like that does carry on. Um, and, there's just so much happening behind the scenes as far as children go. Um, but I feel like in order for us to care more about the shit that is going on with children, it starts in our homes. It starts on an individual basis. Back in the day, it used to take a village to raise a child, and a whole neighborhood. My dad talked about this. A whole neighborhood would raise a child. Nowadays, you don't even know who the hell's living next door. Some people do. Some people are lucky enough to, but some people don't know who the fuck's living next door. You know, just can't even, if something were to happen to your child, wouldn't know a soul in the neighborhood to contact. So our children, they come here to let us know where we come from, and we can either choose to listen to them, which most of us don't. We just write it off. But when my daughter was 3, she would always tell me stories, and she is 13. Until this day, she still has prophetic dreams. She still has dreams about I'm sure a lot of us do at this point, if you're tuned in, about the end of the world, and she would tell me so many things, and I always kept that part alive of her. So for her to be 13 and still be in contact with that, to be able to receive those types of dreams, that's a big deal. But she always knew God. She always had a relationship with him. She always believed in him. I always fostered that part, because she would know that our God is special, and because he made you, you are special too. God is tired, and he wants people to do right by children. And so, a lot he'll have me probably talking about, our 3-year-old self and being in touch with our 3-year-old self. I'll ask people questions all the time. Who were you when you were 3? A lot of people will say that they'll do some type of hypnotherapy or some type of imagery thing. And, they will, some type of energy thing, and, they will, lost my train of thought. There's always so much to think about when it comes to, the inner child healing. But it is a big deal that we are in contact, and that we are right with oneself. Making sure that, and one step to getting close to that is just taking that lesson from being 3 and being consistent all the way across the board. If a lot of people are seeing 66s or 6s, that's a reminder that you need to get in touch with that childlike part of yourself. You need not abandon that part, because that part is special. And, one thing that I've also picked up is intuitive painting. I find when I paint intuitively, which is where you start painting a picture and you don't know what it's going to be. I found that when I paint intuitively, I've drawn some pretty cool pictures. I have to post them up. I don't know what they are, but when they come out, I'm an intuitive reader. That's what I go by, an intuitive reader. I can read anything, any type of picture, number, facial. I read what I feel. And, I trust my feels 100%, because I know that that's the part that's connected to God. So I always trust, when I might not understand, but I always trust what I feel. That's what I've learned. That's one thing that's important. So yeah, that is the connection between healing our inner child and how it branches out to being a parent. Children will talk to someone that they feel is genuine. They'll talk to someone that's meeting them where they're at. But children these days, especially the teenagers, they don't want to talk to anybody of superiority. Now, we remember how we were raised, and we can sit all day and we can say, well, I was raised that way. I did this. I turned out fine. But did you turn out fine? Did you really turn out fine? Or are you just telling yourself you turned out fine? Forgiving your parents and understanding, why your parents did what they did, or why they were, that's half of inner child healing. Being able to forgive. Sometimes everyone's childhood was different and you couldn't even gauge it, but being able to forgive. Just because I feel like there's things to forgive my parents for doesn't mean that my parents were horrible people. But there might have been some things that, now that I'm old enough and I know my emotions, I can think back to when I was a child and say, well, you know what, that always made me feel this way. But then I can come back to an adult and be like, you know what, even though you felt that way, it wasn't about you. I know at the time you felt like it was about you. I know at the time you felt like you were in control. I know at the time, but that's just not how it works. When we don't know any better, it's not so much that we're judged. It's when we know something, we do something wrong, and we carry it on as if we've done nothing. Once we get to the age of 18, 1 plus 8 equals 9. 9 is also about completion and being whole, but it's more like you're complete and you're whole as far as being here on earth. You're an adult. So, from the time that number 9 happens, 9 means be a humanitarian. How can I be of service? But a lot of us, we choose to do what we want to do when we're 18. We don't choose to give our lives back immediately. We choose to continue to experience the earth more. We can choose to continue to, we're not even 21 yet. There's so much we want to experience. But we don't realize that while doing activities that say we're of this world, we're losing ourselves step by step, day by day. And I just want to let anybody know who's wanting to do inner child healing, look on the internet. There's some things some programs you can join. Like I said, I did the Hood Healers. I look at pictures of myself from when I think I have a picture of when I was, 2, 4, and 8. And I look at those pictures, and when I used to look at those pictures, I didn't feel a connection. I did not feel any connection. But now that I'm older, I feel, and I've done the work, I feel connected. I feel like I am that little girl, and I think about her, and I step in her shoes, and I think about me, and I think about where I'm at, and I think about my parents, and I think about everything I thought it was possible, and I think about everything I ever wanted, and I think about everything. I mean, I start to think like a 3-year-old. I start to have so many questions about my life and so many questions about the world and it's okay. Like, it's okay to ask questions. It's okay to have thoughts. It's okay to get lost in the mind of the 3-year-old. And that part of me is so proud of the person that I've become today. That little girl was sad. She was sad. She was sad. And I think that she felt like she had been forgotten. I was the oldest of 2 sisters, so I think she just felt like she had to grow up too soon, and there's just no time to be a child. You have to grow up now. It's you're responsible for her, and you're responsible for her, and you're responsible for him, and you're responsible for yourself, and now there's things you got to do, and got to remember to do this, and it was nothing that at that young of an age, I asked for. You know what I mean? I never asked for so much responsibility so soon, and I had a single mom, so that rushes the feeling of responsibility. You know what I mean? There was just a lot of things that, even if I really didn't understand when I was little, I just had to understand. There was things that, if I didn't get, I just had to get it. And like I said, I know my parents were just in survival mode, but I think back about how them growing up and them trying to, live their life kind of just taught me to suppress myself. I feel like everything just taught me that I wasn't enough. And so at one point or another, I just started living my life as if I wasn't enough. As if there was always going to be some worries, as if there was always going to be problems, as if, I was going to have to try to work. I never even, when I was growing up, I never even compared how I was living to or the feelings I had inside to, I never compared that to my parents or any, until, I would hear our childhood has a lot to do with it, but it really, really does. By not being aware and not being awake of who we are, we cause our children so much shit. And so when I think about inner child healing, I think of it as a sacrifice. I think of it as the ultimate sacrifice, because you are willing to put away everything you've learned in Babylon, aka America, and just trust who God says you are. All right, well, I think that concludes my portion on, what is the inner child and what is the relationship between the inner child and our children. If anyone has any questions, please put them down in the description box, or not the description box. Please put them down in the comments if you have any questions. Anything that you guys would want me to talk about when it comes to this inner child stuff, you can always contact me in my messenger. If you have any questions or any videos, I want to try to do more talks about these and more little exercises to all help us be more connected to the inner child part of us and to use those tools to help us parent consciously. Also, I am opening back up for readings this month. I've been having a pulling to do them, maybe just because it's October. I'm just going to come out and say it about my readings. I do not do clarification readings. So we will not be doing readings on things that you already know the answer to. I morally don't even feel right taking your money for it, and we're not going to do that. I won't be telling anyone their future. I like for us to be in the here and the now. I like for us to learn to trust God. So I am not here to read your future for you. I am here to help you see what you cannot see. I'm here to help you feel what you cannot feel. And that right there, me just chiming in, that part right there is going to help get you closer to who you are designed to be here on this life plane. So I love you all. I hope everyone resonates and takes something from my little video about the 3-year-old and the inner child healing. Everyone have a blessed evening.